They love having a feeling of a roof over their head. So they come out in the dark and they would create all these weird sort of tunnels through here and just mess up all the seeds I had planted. So, you know, nothing has germinated. Now that could just be because it's been cold at night and they just haven't had enough heat to get things to germinate. Hey, it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com, and I did a video a week ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago, where in one of my domed beds here, I put some paper down in between the rows and I planted some seeds and I put plastic over that. And I've done this, you know, I do this every year and it works. And this year, something happened in both the beds where I did this that I didn't anticipate, but I should have saw it coming. So I should back up a little bit. Last fall, I noticed mole hills in my garden, and I guess there's moles in my garden, and I always have moles and voles and mice and things like that kicking around, so I really don't pay them too much mind. I always figure the different birds of prey and snakes and stuff sort them out. But I hadn't really thought that during the winter, if you have a bed covered, the mole sort of has an ideal place to keep working along, right? I mean, you got the bed covered, you got a bit of mulch, and there's some worms in there. And moles eat worms and things like that. They're primarily predators, believe it or not. Once the bed thawed out, I noticed mole holes. So when I planted all of the seeds, and I put paper down over the soil, and I put plastic over the paper, I sort of created an ideal mole habitat, and they just made it a complete and utter mess of everything I planted. I don't think they're eating the seeds. Why would a mole want to eat a kale seed or a lettuce seed? That doesn't make any sense. They're looking for worms and stuff like that. But in their foraging for those sorts of things, they just made a whole mess of the thing. So yesterday, over the course of the last week, I've been putting out traps, just little tiny mouse traps, and baiting with peanut butter, because I've had that work for moles before. So I thought I'd show the results here. It's probably a dead mole in here, so if you're upset by things like that, turn it off. But to me, that's the best way to sort this out. Just kill them, because I don't want them in my bed. So let's have a look here. Yeah, so we got a couple here. So again, as I said, if you're bothered by seeing dead rodents, I would shut this off. But for those that have a problem like this in their garden and are trying to think of a way to solve it and how to deal with it and want to get kind of medieval, I just use these cheap little Victor old-fashioned mouse traps. I mean, there's a lot of discussion or techniques that are discussed on the internet for how to deal with moles in a garden, digging up things, doing this, doing that, and the other thing. And to me, it's they're not very smart, and they really can't see. So, in my mind, if you can identify where the mole hole, there's a place that they tend to come out of the ground, right? Put some bait. I know they like peanut butter because I've caught them using it. I've done a lot of trial and error. They seem to like peanut butter. So, you put the peanut butter in the mouse trap, and yeah, so that's a mole, right? Pretty gross looking thing, but you can tell it's a mole because they really don't have eyes. There's no eyes to see. Let's see at the right angle. Yeah, there's no real eyes, right? So and they got these sort of really powerful digging claws, sort of thing. They dig a lot, right? So I got that one, and got another one here. But I mean, the point of having a garden is not to have a mole colony. It's to have vegetables. So I don't mind sharing the space with moles, and I have moles and voles and squirrels and all kinds of things like that around, and I leave them alone if they leave my stuff alone. But if they're causing problems, I sort of knock back that population a bit until I can get my plants established. Using this technique here with it sort of does create an ideal situation for moles. It's normally not a problem because I'm growing over a garden that's just thawed out, and maybe they haven't set up shop there. But I think because these were covered all winter, I've been doing this for a number of years, so perhaps the population's increased a bit every year. But because these were covered all winter, I think it just created an ideal situation for a mole population. I also noticed the mole holes, like, you know, when they dig up a hole in the sand here, it's really obvious. So I noticed in the fall I had a couple kicking around. I don't know if I mentioned this early in the video, but I think there must be a fairly large one there, because one of my mouse traps just disappeared early in the week. Like it hooked onto a mole and the mole just dragged it down to the ground. You know, hopefully it created a, you know, difficult situation for that mole, and maybe it died underground. I don't know. Got jammed up and stuck somewhere, who knows. Yeah, maybe bring the camera in a bit closer and you can see the condition of the soil. You can see what they've been doing. So I don't know how obvious that is, but you can sort of see holes and, you know, so I mean, right here, that's a mole hole, right? But there's all kinds of places in the garden where they sort of create these little tunnels and they're just going in and out. There's all kinds of different, there's another one right there, right? There's another one over there. So I just put the trap relatively close to the holes, but what they were doing was in between these paper things, right? They love that, right? You can see that they've been tunneling under there. They love it. But they also, remember I had plastic between these paper things. They love having the feeling of a roof over their head. So they come out in the dark and they would create all these weird sort of tunnels through here and just mess up all the seeds I had planted. So, you know, nothing has germinated. Now that could just be because it's been cold at night and they just haven't had enough heat to get things to germinate. Or it could be that the moles just messed everything up. Well, let's have a look at the other bed and see if I got anything there. Yeah, in this one I got two traps on either side of a mole hole. Neither one of the traps are sprung, and the peanut butter is still on the track, or on the you know, the trigger. Right, so yeah, no, for whatever. I mean, I just did this yesterday, so they were active in that other bed. They weren't active here last night. Don't know why. Maybe it's the same moles. Wouldn't that be nice if it's only two moles causing all of this? Probably not, but anyway, for whatever reason they weren't active here last night. Maybe they'll be active there tonight. I'm reasonably confident that in a few months, when the garter snakes show up, they will gorge on these things and bring the population down to a level which it really isn't an issue. This is the first year I've really had moles mess up my early planting under the plastic dome operation. So I guess I've been lucky up until now. So, you know, who knows? Perhaps when I had all the beds covered with wood chips, they had all kinds of places to go, and by turning the walking paths into sand, it sort of confined them to the beds and made them more intense in the beds. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't an issue last growing season at all. This is the first time I've ever encountered this problem. Maybe it's just a good year to be a mole, right? Who knows, right? We'll see how it goes and just stay on top of it. I noticed in my cold frames last year, I had moles there, and I took them out using the same technique. So, and they caused a lot of damage in there as well. So anyway, hope you found that interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Moles, peanut butter, mouse trap sticking to the hole, and just wait and check it every day. And yeah. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Check out my podcast, maritimegardening.com. And until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.